Hello everybody and welcome to this episode of the Budding Watch Enthusiast. So first off, an apology. I know this episode is going up a couple days late than my normal Thursday release date. Worked through me a bunch of curveballs this week, definitely set me back a little ways. So I think this episode is going up on Saturday, so apologies for the 2 days delay. Obviously the next episodes will be on time next week as expected. But yes, today we will start it off with the wristwatch check because that is the subject of today's video. I'm currently wearing my Hamilton Khaki Field day date automatic. The reference number I have right here, H70505833, aka the Desert Eagle, as I've affectionately taken to calling it. And we're talking about this watch again today. Of course, this is one that I reviewed in the past, but I've now had this watch for about 6 months. So now that I've been able to really solidify my opinions, to spend a lot of time with this watch, it's time to give us an updated review or updated impressions of this Hamilton Khaki watch. Now, this one was a really interesting one to go back and evaluate critically because this watch has actually been probably the one that I've worn the most since I've acquired it. It's a watch that I typically wear a couple of times a week, and I would dare say that it's my favorite watch in my collection so far since I've acquired it. But my final thoughts are going to be interesting, and we'll get into them because it's going to be informed by the rest of these impressions. And I encourage you, by the way, if you did not see my full review, I will link it up above and in the description below that you guys can go check that out to learn more about the entirety of the watch or just to get a frame of reference for what I'm going to talk about today. So just a few notes about this watch just to catch everybody up. This is the 42mm version in the Hamilton Khaki Field line. Has a bit of an upgraded movement, which we're going to talk about over the standard Hamilton Khaki Fields, but it does also come at a little bit higher of a price point. The dial is also a little bit more decorative as well. It does have the split day and date complication at the 12 and 6 o'clock, which you normally don't see on the Hamilton Khaki line as well. But yeah, so this is a watch that I reviewed very favorably when it came out. I talked about the fact that it was an excellent watch for the price that I paid for it, and again, it's been very reliable for me ever since I got it. But let's get into the things that I love most about this watch and that I've disliked most about this watch 6 months on. And the first thing that is an absolute love for this watch is, I mentioned it earlier, this is the watch that I've worn the most in my entire collection since I've acquired it. It's been the most reliable watch in my collection. It's the most durable watch in my collection by far. I would take it on any adventure. I would take it anywhere with me because it will stand up to the punishment. It's starting to get some love marks on it as well around the bezel and the case. It's funny, I'm actually happy to have beat this watch up a little bit because it makes it that much more my own, even though it does, tarnish the appearance of the watch. And so far, it's nothing major. It's very slight. You have to really look to see them, but it gives the watch character. It makes it feel even more like mine. So I'm not upset to have done that so far to this one. And yeah, honestly, if you forced me to get rid of my entire collection, and I could only keep one watch out of my collection that I have right now, this is probably the one that I would hang on to just because it is so versatile, it is so robust. I know it can stand up to punishment, and yeah, it's right now it's just the optimal watch in my collection. I think field watches tend to kind of have that associated with them anyway. They tend to be made to stand up to abuse and to be sort of ubiquitous, being able to be used in a variety of different situations. But yeah, it's been my most reliable watch since I've gotten it. Part of the reason for that is that the movement that's inside of this thing has been phenomenal. This watch contains the Hamilton Caliber H30 movement, which is a modified ETA 2836-2. The modification on the movement is that it contains an 80-hour power reserve, which is not a great selling point for the watch. It's not a reason I don't think I would ever buy a watch just for an enhanced power reserve, but it's been super convenient. Obviously, the idea is that you can wear this watch as your daily watch and then wear something else over the weekend and it'll still be running when you go to pick it back up on Monday morning. I just like it because when it does sit in the watch box for a couple days, it's still ticking away when I go to pick it up inevitably a couple days later. I think in the entire 6 months that I've had this watch, I think it has stopped running like twice. Like, that's how much I've been wearing the watch routinely, is that usually once every 3 days at a minimum, if not more frequently, I'm typically picking this watch up out of the watch box. So it's just been pretty much continually running since I've gotten it. And the other crazy thing too is that even though I can't imagine that this movement was regulated in more than 2 or 3 positions out of the factory, it's actually been performing within a COSC certification since I've gotten it. It typically runs about 2 to 3 seconds fast per day, which is the best performing watch in my collection, which again, you don't expect from a lightly modified ETA movement. You don't expect it to be that tight. And again, I'm sure the other watches in my collection could achieve that performance if I did regulate them. But the fact that I haven't had to and it's been that good has been a really big plus. Now, one thing I did mention in my initial review is that when I got the watch, is that since I did get the version that has the old radium Luminova on the dial, I was concerned about my ability to dress it up with, a variety of different color straps and stuff like that. Fortunately, that has not been the case. Of course, being a field watch, it pairs very well with a variety of different styles of strap, from mesh bracelet to leather to NATOs, which is what I wear it on the vast majority of the time. It's looked great with pretty much everything. There hasn't been too many colors or styles that I don't think have looked good with it, which for me is hugely important because I'm changing straps out constantly. But that being said, I do actually wish that I had gone just with the Super Luminova version of the dial instead of the Radium Luminova. The Radium Lum was one thing that really did attract me to this watch when I first saw it and really made it stand out among all of the other Hamilton Khaki Field watches that are out there. But after having spent time with it and after seeing the other versions of this watch that do have the regular white numerals as opposed to the tan looking numerals or the faux patina numerals that my reference has, I do kind of wish that I had gone with the white version. It makes it match that much more with everything else. And then the one thing that the white numeral version has that this one does not is that red tipped second hand that goes around the dial. And you think that's not a big deal, but that does definitely give the dial a little bit more character and a little bit more personality than just the standard tan one does. Just even that little, that touch of red does so much for that dial and really stands out amongst it. So if I could do it again, I would definitely get the white version instead of the one with the patina style numbers. I think would have worked a little bit better for me. And while we're on the dial, one of the other things that kind of gets me about this watch, having owned it now for 6 months, is that the watch suffers from a little bit of an identity crisis. I mean, it is definitely very much a field watch through and through, but when you have the 2 different finishes on the dial and you have the snail tracks that run around it, it's almost like it's stuck between committing to like a very brutal field watch or something that's a little bit fancier and is intended for a different purpose. But it almost makes me wish that I had opted for the standard Khaki Field instead. Despite the fact that I do adore this watch. The size is something that I criticized in my review. This watch is 42 millimeters. I said that I thought that they probably should have made it 40. Though I still agree with that for the masses. For me, the 42 millimeter size has actually worked out perfectly since I've got it. 42 millimeters, I think I figured out is kind of my sweet spot size at this point. And this one, the lugs do come down a little bit longer, so it does, wear true to its 42 millimeter size. And the other reason that the size really works well, the 42 millimeter case, is because it does give that dial a little bit of room to breathe. Because you have the split day-date complication and because you have the 24-hour hour track running along the inside, if you did put this in a 40 millimeter, it might cramp it a little too much. It might be a little too busy for everything that's going on with there. The 42 millimeter size definitely does give it a little bit more room to breathe. And I think for this particular reference, it does work out pretty well. The strap that came with this watch, I reviewed pretty positively when it came out. I did enjoy the Hamilton branding on the buckle and the way that worked. However, since then, the strap has been relegated to my strap box, the box that has all my spare straps that I never use. It actually, in the long run, didn't end up being super comfortable, and it actually started to come apart a little bit, which was a little disappointing to see from an OEM strap that's coming from the factory. So that was a little bit of a letdown. Fortunately, I have a variety of other leather straps that have worked really well, that are of much better quality. So, but if I could have done it again, like if I were to buy this watch a second time, I would actually opt for the bracelet version. Even though I'm not a bracelet guy, the cost, if you can find it, is not that much more. You are getting a good quality bracelet, and of course easily removable if you want to dress it up with NATO straps or any other kind of leather strap. So if you were in the market for a Hamilton Khaki watch, I would say definitely get it on the bracelet, because the quality of the Hamilton leather straps, at least with this one, was only so-so for me. So that's what those are the likes and dislikes that have stuck out the most to me in the 6 months that I've owned this watch. So let's just talk about it now a little bit. And it's really funny because, like I mentioned, it's the watch I've worn the most since I've gotten it, and it's probably my favorite watch in my collection. And yet, despite that, I can't give it a blanket recommendation to everybody out there. The thing is that Hamilton as a brand and as a company provide a very, very high amount of value in their watches. And the value runs a gamut of price points. And for the money, it's hard to tell someone not to go out and just buy the standard Khaki Field automatic in lieu of getting this one. It's just the value proposition between buying this over a regular Hamilton Khaki Field kind of goes away. Again, when you can pick up a Khaki Field for around $300, it's hard to justify the extra expenditure. I mean, the things that you get are nice. The fancier dial, definitely, you know, if you're looking for that sort of thing, a nice improvement. Having the upgraded power reserve and the movement, again, a huge improvement over the standard power reserve, which I think is around 38 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Those things are very good. But if I knew what I knew now, and I could transport back in time, I probably would have saved a couple $100 and bought just the date version, because I think that watch does everything that I needed to do, and has the aesthetic that I would probably prefer, and it comes in a cheaper price point. But again, it's funny because I still, if someone were to email me tomorrow and say, hey, I watched your video, I have the Khaki Field Auto, I'll trade you that and $100 for, you know, your day-date automatic, I still probably wouldn't do it, because I do love this watch to death. It's just so odd that with this one, my personal feelings and my critical feelings kind of stand at odds with each other a little bit, because I still adore this watch. I still get such joy out of it whenever I look down at it. It's still an attractive watch in my eyes. I do really like the split day-date complication here. You don't rarely see it this way on very many watches, and it definitely gives it a unique perspective and a unique look for sure. You know, I love the finishing on the case still, the fact that they went with an all brushed finished. I love the flat crystal. It just, that element of it really speaks to me and is really attractive to me. I love the fact that it's my everyday companion, that I can wear this watch in any situation. This is always the go-to watch that if I'm not really feeling a certain watch, or if I don't have any watch that I'm leaning towards that I want to wear, this is always the one that comes out of the watch box, because I love it so much. So I'm in the odd position that while I love this watch to death, and I will say again, if this particular reference, or you know, the day-date style, even if it's not this reference, like if you prefer the white numerals, or if they have the white dial black numeral version as well, if you do like that style, you're gonna get a great watch still. Again, a great watch to wear every day. Again, the added features are really nice. But if you're trying to figure out if you're looking to buy a Hamilton Khaki watch, I would say just get a Hamilton Khaki date, and you're gonna love that watch forever. It's gonna be just as durable. It's gonna be just as excellent. But I think it's a better value for money than this one is. And watch buying is not all about value for money. Definitely the emotional aspect and you know, the romantic aspect of it is certainly a factor, and certainly should be a factor. But as far as it goes in my collection, it's not going anywhere anytime soon, if ever. This is one that I could certainly see standing the test of time, being in my collection forever, always being something that I come back to on a consistent basis. Actually, I take that back. The only way that I would ever get rid of this is if someone came to me and had the white numeraled version of this style and wanted to do a straight swap for swap. Yeah, I might do that. I might do that if somebody were to come to me. I don't anticipate that happening, but if that were to happen, that's the only way that I get rid of this watch. Even though, from a critical standpoint, I don't give it the highest recommendation. I do adore it. It has been fantastic. It has been a great purchase for me. It's just that if you're asking me 6 months later, would I recommend it to everybody? I can't do that, because at this point, I don't know if what you're getting for the price is worth the extra expenditure. But yeah, I would be curious if you guys do have experience with this watch. Let me know your thoughts on it, or really with the Hamilton Khaki line in general. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my thoughts on just, on the regular Hamilton Khaki date as well, certainly in the comments below. Again, thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you found it informative or entertaining, hit the like button. It helps me out a lot, and you can help me even more if you're new to the channel by clicking the red subscribe button and ringing the bell icon. That way you'd never miss an episode that I post. And I always ask everybody, if you use Instagram and you haven't followed me yet, go to @buddingwatchenthusiast and please give me a follow there as well. Thank you guys very much for watching this video, and I will see you all the next time.